Hello, welcome to the channel. This is Becky Culture Media, where we talk about trending news and events. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing a message by the wife of NNAMDI by name Uchechi Okwu-Kanu. She published this message on the 28th of November 2025, and she has some very important things that she wants to talk about her husband's recent conviction and his movement from DSS Abuja to Sokoto prison. She has a lot that she wants to say. So I will implore you to please be patient and listen to the video or the audio from beginning to end. So what she published is actually audio, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be using one of her old video clips. And what you're going to be hearing is the message that she published on the 28th of November 2025. So just in case you notice that her lips is not in sync with what she's saying, that's because the video is different and the audio is different. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So thanks for tuning into the channel. This is Becky Culture Media. If you're new here, please click on the subscribe button and also click on the notification bell so you can get free notifications whenever there's a new upload on the channel. And to all our returning subscribers, thank you so much for tuning into the video. So let's listen to what the wife of NNAMDI has to say. Her name is Uchechi Okwu-Kanu.
My conscious ladies and gentlemen, lovers of freedom, dignity, and justice, the hour here is exactly 10 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, being the 28th of November 2025 in the year of our Lord. I say good evening to you, good morning, and good afternoon to you, depending on the time zone you are listening to me from. And thank you for answering my call and being here. I will keep this within 45 minutes or at most 60 minutes. But I will also endeavor to update you as much as I can going forward. My name is Uchechi Me Anyawototuni Okwu-Kanu. And by the special grace of God, I work as a transformational life coach and advocate for human dignity and consciousness. And I will speak to you through the lens of consciousness. Through this lens, I will address why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's current detention location is unsafe and the urgent need for his immediate transfer to a secure and accessible facility. How global voices and institutions can intervene as we intensify our conscience-based appeal, message grounded in justice and humanity to His Holiness, the Pope, the EU, that is the European Union, the United States government, and the international human rights law. I will also address the advance in the journey of our people's liberation, and finally, the quality of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's legal team. Before I proceed, I want to thank every voice that has risen in condemnation, calling out the unjust conviction of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu far and wide, from every non-Nigerian, Nigerian at home and abroad. I deeply appreciate every hand across the world that has written against this injustice. Thank you. Thank you. Tonight, I come before you not simply as a wife yearning for her husband's freedom from unjust conviction, nor as a mother hoping to lift the weight from her children scattered across the four corners of the earth and from generations yet to come. I stand here as a voice for justice itself and for consciousness. a wife whose husband's life is in danger, a wife whose family has been denied access, dignity, and safety, a wife who refuses to be silent while injustice is dressed up as law. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. He is a husband. He is a father. He is a son, a brother, a friend, and above all, a human being. I speak not only to Nigerians, Biafrans, or a specific group, but I speak to the conscience of the world. As we know, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been unjustly convicted and transferred to Sokoto prison, a detention location that exposes him to severe security risks. This relocation is not neutral or safe. It places his life in danger. And the key reasons I believe that Sokoto is seen as unsafe are based on security risks. Apart from the concern on distance from his legal team and family, Sokoto prison was described as a protective facility by Omotosho after Abuja's Kuje prison was deemed unsafe due to past prison breaks. However, eyewitnesses reported unusual military presence and heavy security around the Sokoto Custodial Center, which has been interpreted as evidence of heightened danger. I also look at the step of isolation and secrecy. His transfer was carried out quietly, with officials refusing to confirm details of his exact location. Activists like Omoyele Sowore and myself criticized the secrecy, saying it increases the risk of mistreatment. Another step is the political and ethnic tension. Sokoto is in Nigeria's far north, a region with strong cultural and political differences from Igbo base in the southeast. Placing him there is not only punitive, but also exposes him to hostility in an environment far removed from a central access point. And do not forget the heavy presence of terrorists who are currently pillaging the peace and lives of people are there. Another step is his health. I have the health concerns, or I have the concerns for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's health. Most importantly, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu requires special medical care. His heart is deteriorating. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has heart issues. Hence, moving him to Sokoto was a veiled plot to deny him access to his personal physicians and proper medication, which endangers his lives. In summary, Sokoto is seen as unsafe for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and we believe the relocation increases the risk to his life and undermines his right to fair trial and medical care. And as his wife, I am asking a simple, moral, and lawful question. How can any government justify placing a non-violent prisoner in an environment where his safety cannot be guaranteed and where his family and legal team are effectively stifled? I am calling respectfully, but firmly, for his immediate transfer to a secure facility where his life is not at risk. His family can access him, his doctors can access him, his legal rights are respected, and human dignity is upheld. I move on to the global voices and the institutions that can help play a decisive role in pressing for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's safety and release, and the release of all our brothers and sisters still held in various prisons, hiding away in various prisons. The key is to intensify the mobilization of international advocacy campaigns, diplomatic pressure, and human rights mechanisms that Nigeria cannot easily ignore. Human rights such as United Nations Working Group that issue opinions and African Union. Recall, do not forget that the United Nations Human Rights Council and Working Group on Arbitrary Detention investigated Nnamdi Kanu's case and issued their opinion declaring his kidnap unlawful. But the Nigerian government ignored that. That is one of the pointers that a government has already determined on the fate of a man who speaks truth to power. Neither did the UK government work with that. They completely ignored that. Most importantly, diplomatic pressure to go on foreign governments. The UK, EU, and the United States can raise his case in bilateral talks, conditioning aid or cooperation on Nigeria's respect for human rights. Another is the global civil society and faith leaders, churches and religious leaders, such as the Pope of the Papal State of the Vatican, World Council of Churches, and African bishops, such as Bishop Mike, one who has already begun. He was on AIT today, or speaking about his visit, or narrating his visit to Nnamdi Kanu. Another is the NGOs and advocacy groups, such as Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and Christian Solidarity Worldwide, can also amplify reports of mistreatment, mobilizing global campaigns. The diaspora networks, legal and judicial avenues. We can look at the international courts, though Nigeria is not under the jurisdiction of the ICC for this case, but petitions can still be filed to highlight crimes against humanity if persecution is proven. Every lawyer within the consciousness of the travesty of justice by Omoto must flood in petitions against him via the appropriate channels. We also have the regional courts where we can go through to the ECOWAS Court of Justice. The ECOWAS Court of Justice has jurisdiction over human rights violation, even though they have previously ruled against Nigeria in similar detention cases for Nnamdi Kanu as well, but nothing has been done. We also need to look at the global media coverage and public opinions, very importantly. Silence in the face of injustice is participation. It is not neutrality, it is participation, it is complicity. History has taught us that when the world looks away, suffering deepens, but when conscience speaks, change becomes possible. Just as the United States government's consciousness has been raised, I have sent a letter to President Trump thanking him for condemning the killings of Christians in Nigeria, and you can also watch my broadcast on that. That reminds me, wishing a happy Thanksgiving to our people in the United States, even if a little belated. I'm thanking our brothers over there, Mazi Evans Wankwo and Mazi Ben, the Wankwo brothers. They have been doing a lot, pushing a lot, and we can see how much they are pushing for our people as well as for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. This broadcast is my plea not for privilege, favoritism, or power, but for protection, fairness, and life. Every person listening to me tonight, please, your voice, our witness, and conscience matters. Stand with me. not for one man alone, not just for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, but for the principle that no human should be placed in harm's way by the state meant to protect life. And to the Department of State Services, the Nigeria Police Force, and all security agencies of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This is a call for transparency and humanity across detention facilities in the country, in Nigeria. Across these detention facilities in Nigeria, men and women are being held for months and years without trial. This is disheartening. Many are said to be members of IPOB. How do you know? How can you prove that all of these people are IPOB members? Even if they are indigenous people of Biafra. Some are not members of IPOB, yet they remain locked away without due process, access, or even hope. Some are sick and many are dying. Many have died. And this is heartbreaking that some families do not even know where you have kept their people, their sons and their daughters. This inhumane treatment by security must cease. Security must not come at the cost of human life. That is fact. If there is no charge, please release them. If there is no trial, please let them go. If there is no evidence, please release them. Many of these men and women are sons and daughters. They are fathers and mothers. They are breadwinners and helpers, and above all, they are loved. Some were simply taken from their homes, some whilst they were sleeping at night. Some were arrested at checkpoints. Some were wrongly labeled and forgotten, keys thrown away. Not everyone in your custody is a criminal or guilty, or even a member of IPOB. Therefore, I appeal to your conscience. Release them so they can breathe and heal, that they may return to their families. May compassion guide our actions so that tomorrow we shall stand before history without shame. Now to our people's liberation. I want to maintain the timing to see if I can finish within 45 minutes. Like I said, 60 minutes at most. As we chart our peaceful path forward for the indigenous people of Biafra, there are steps to follow. First, we want to emphasize that our path forward is through non-violent means, as it has always been. One of the main steps we are proposing is to rally support for a referendum. This referendum will be our peaceful way of voicing the desire for a Biafran state. Second, we need to engage in community education. That means informing our people about what a referendum entails and how it can be a legitimate and a recognized process. Third, we are going to focus on building alliances with international organizations and human rights groups. By doing this, we can gain broader support and ensure that our efforts are seen on a global stage. So as we move forward, let's commit to these steps: pushing for a peaceful referendum, 1, educating our community, 2, and building those crucial alliances. And as part of this educational rollout, I am excited to announce that in the week commencing the 13th of April 2026, we, the women of the IPOB and all women of Biafran descent, will be holding a conference at the United Nations. This gathering is open to every woman who is a lover of freedom and consciousness. You don't have to be a member of IPOB. It is a chance for us to understand and highlight the vital role women play in our society and in the world at large, and intensify our campaign as a people. So, as we focus on a peaceful referendum and building global alliances, this conference will be a cornerstone in educating and empowering our community, especially our women. We invite you all to join us and be part of this important, very important program. More updates on campaigns, protests, and strategies will be announced as we progress by the DOS. It is all about continuous improvement. Every single step that we take in life, every path that we toe in life should be continuous improvement patterned, where we run gap analysis, where we look at how we have gone through the path that we have set in the beginning of our journey, how far we have gone, how well we have done, what we need to do better, and what we need to add. And then the implementations. Now, on the issue of the quality of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's legal team, while we have the opportunity for our appeal, we must ensure that the ground is fertile by anchoring our actions in an appropriate political solution. As we know, Justice Omotosho of the High Court foreclosed Onyindi's final written address, where he would have addressed the persecution's evidence against him. And that explains the outrage that followed. Justice Omotosho told Onyindu to write his final address, which he would look at on the day of the judgment. And on that day, he foreclosed it. He did not allow Onyindu to tender his final written address. And that, I believe, could have outraged anyone else. It could have been anybody. We also recognize that this outcome aligns with the manner in which the Nigerian government intended the process to unfold. However, it is equally clear that some of these consequences could have been avoided. I mentioned this on the very day of that conviction, that we could have averted some of these consequences. They could have been avoided had there been greater fidelity to due process and purity of form. Nevertheless, we will petition Justice Omotosho to the highest possible authorities. This effort is further strengthened by the concerns already raised by lawyers who have highlighted his apparent impunity and called for formal accountability. It is very, very pivotal. In fact, it is important, or actually it is better to adjudicate within the bounds of justice and allow the government to lawfully exercise its authority in retaining custody of the prisoner than to permit actions that undermine due process and expose these irregularities to the scrutiny of the global community. What I'm trying to say is that what a Motoshaw or any judge could have done is do their diligent job or do their job diligently within the light of justice and give the judgment as it should have been, and then allow the Nigerian government to as they have always done, keep Onyendu where they wanted to keep him, but at least let the judgment be in the light of justice. But that did not happen. And Omotosho must face the consequence of what he heaved upon himself. On the issues of updates, I have restrained myself several times solely because Onyendu asked me to do so. That is before he was taken away and moved to Sokoto. However, given the current situation, I believe I owe it to the world to speak openly. There is overwhelming concern, both home and abroad, regarding Onyendu's legal team. People constantly reach out to me, asking me whether certain reports they read on social media are true. My simple answer, my honest response has often been that I do not know, simply because no one is updating me. Since my husband was transferred to Sokoto, the conduct of some of his legal team has been highly unprofessional and uncivilized. I believe I owe this openness to the people because both Mazin Namdekano and I belong to the people. I have a legal right to take a step to ensure that I secure the release of my husband. But first, I want the world to ask Barrister Aloy Ejimako why he does not give me updates. On the 17th of July, 2024, I asked him why I was not informed about my husband's health situation and why I had to learn from the social media platform that my husband had passed out. The response I got hit me. His response was that he did not want to upset me. By speaking to me, claiming that I do not like him. I asked him where that notion came from. How is it that I don't like you? Where is that coming from? And he referred me to messages from 2021. He said to me, I do not delete my messages. You can go and check in 2020. And I don't remember ever telling Aloy that I do not like him. So I told him clearly that I do not have time for petty behavior. Since he claimed he does not delete his chat, I asked him to screenshot the alleged message and send it to me. Otherwise, I requested that he simply do his duty by updating me after visiting my husband. Mind you, he never did up till today. Furthermore, in August 2024, Nabikem and I visited my husband on 5 different occasions. Not once, even though I think Onyendu would tell him that we're coming and he would put our name across to the DSS. Not once during those visits did I see Barrister Aloy, because I had wanted to complain about him in his presence. I wanted to complain to Onyendu in his presence, but he was never present. He didn't come. He didn't visit. We did not see him. So I informed Onyendu of this, and Onyendu assured me that he would ensure I received update through another lawyer. But since Onyendu was transferred to Sokoto, I have neither heard from nor received any update from him, who claimed to be running errands for my husband. At this point, I would like to briefly recount how Barrister Jaffa came to be involved in this case. I also get a lot of buzz and calls and some insults why Barrister Jaffa was taking out and all sorts. All of that are out there in the open. It's important that we try to inquire or reference previous broadcasts that I have been on. It is a slight digression, but it is very important. In 2015, while I was pregnant, Onyendu was taking. I nearly lost and I nearly miscarried that pregnancy. So when Onyendu was taking, Uche Mefor brought in his friend called Obeta. And my mother-in-law brought, I can't remember his name now, another lawyer. So we were in communication, and I said to Obeta that my mother-in-law brought a lawyer and that I would like him to wait for the lawyer. In fact, I told the lawyer that my mother-in-law brought to wait for Obeta that he's yet to arrive Abuja, because I like to work in uniform. I don't like to work in silos. Part of my job is to identify where there are silos and bridge the gap by creating cross-functional departments or cross-functional flow between departments. So I understand the power in teamwork, and I always stand on teamwork, regardless whether I like you or not. Most of you here, you go to work. Some of you don't like your managers, some of you don't like your colleagues, but you have to produce a report. Perhaps you two have to work together, or you have to submit a report to someone you don't like. You have to do it anyway, because you are there to attain a goal. So regardless whether you like that person or not, that job must be done, or you'll be sacked. So Abule got connected. I can't remember I can't remember the barrister's name. It keeps flying off now. He got in contact and met with Obeta. And whilst that was going on, Barrister Gabriel Ebule contacted me, saying that he he spoke with Onyendu. He saw Onyendu, that the DSS brought Onyendu to court. They were trying to convict him that same day. But Ebule walked up to Onyendu and said, I think I know you. So Onyendu said to him, can you defend me? And he said yes. And he got a bail right there for Onyendu that same day. So Onyendu said to him, you will contact my wife, tell her that I have been given a bail, this, that. So when Ebule contacted me, I said to him that Obeta is on his way, and the lawyer that my mother-in-law brought was also on his way. So the three of them can meet and work together. And absolutely all I wanted was my husband to be released, safe, and unharmed. Even though Ebule got a bail for Onyendu, the DSS continued to hold him. That is not, it's not a new story. They always do that. So as I coordinated all three of them, because I believe strongly in the power of teamwork, Obeta said he was visiting my village. So after that visitation, he stopped giving me updates. Obeta stopped giving me updates and began speaking to me in a disparaging and unprofessional manner. As a result, I asked him to step aside. He later apologized, claiming he had been misled by my in-laws. That was what he said. I don't know, and I didn't care to know, and I did not want to listen to what he had to say. I told him clearly that he had crossed the line and that I no longer wanted him involved. I made it clear that I did not care what he was told and did not want to know. But that made him to even be more mad at me. He was mad at me. But I took the matter to the then DOS, headed by Mazio Miu Miu. They eventually understood the game Obeta was playing and upheld the decision that he should step aside. To cut the long story short, I sent my father. He went round and he found another barrister who you know today as Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor, to whom I gave power of attorney, and that marked the beginning of the real legal battle. I want it publicly stated that because I brought in a lawyer, I was disowned by my husband's family and IPOB. It is on, I think, some newspaper or The Guardian. I can't remember which one exactly, but some people have the link or the link to that. Please, can you share that link? Where I was humiliated and insulted, a pregnant woman going insane, running and fighting for the safety of her husband. That was a newspaper publication that I have been disowned by Uchechi and the rest of them and IPOB because I got a new lawyer. So imagine what I went through at that time. A lot of people do not know my story because I am always a very quiet person. But I think it is high time that anything that bothers me, because currently I am unwell. I have just had a major surgery and I have not even healed. I can't even heal properly because I am having to face all of these situations and circumstances all by myself, raising a young, vibrant 9-year-old boy on my own. I have never had any heart problem. I have never had any heart or high blood pressure, regardless everything that I have gone through in life. But recently, I am beginning to have that, and that is not a joke. Therefore, any single tiny bit of stress, I will bring it to the people so they can help me and address it before I lose my life. And when I lose my life, there is nobody to look after Nabikem. So for the state of my mental health, I have to be as careful as I can be. I will stop there for now. But what I want Barrister Aloy to tell me is if he sees Obeta anywhere around here. As he continues to disrespect and disregard me, so shall it be unto him. I do not care what you are told. I do not care what you want to know or what it is you know. You do not need me to like you, nor do I need you to like me. You are here to do a job. Simply do your job professionally, and all will be well between us, as Barrister Ejiofor did. Had there been unity among the DOS and the legal team, the murderous terrorist in Finland called Simon Ekman, this is the first time I am mentioning that midget's name, would not have killed our people. The crimes committed by that boy and his so-called government in exile and liberation mad army was used to pass judgment against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I hope you heard this directly from the bishop who visited Onyendu, Bishop Ike Iguano. You were all warned that this boy was sent to indict Onyendu on behalf of the government. Now, where are all of them? Some blindly followed him, shouting and using an imbecilic slang, woko woko woto woto. They call themselves several names: automated fools, automated what? Automated pilots, something like that. Now, where are they? If the DOS had not stood firm, upholding the legacy of IPOB and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as structured by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, we would have been singing a song of pain and agony today. The world would have been looking at IPOB as a terrorist organization while someone had infiltrated the very people who are meant to serve justice, to uphold it and recognize it when they see it. In my next teaching, I will address people who sabotage freedom fighting movements and what usually happens to them in many forms across history and contexts. Not just freedom fighting, but in other areas of life. Before I leave you tonight, I want to speak not to institutions, not to governments, but to human conscience. When history looks back at moments like this, it is not, or it will not ask who was powerful. It will not ask who was more braggadocious. It will ask who was humane and who chose courage over silence. To those planning to leave IPOB because Onyendu is incarcerated, shame on you. You came to behold Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and have chosen to abandon him now that he needs you most. Now that you must stand and uphold IPOB by whatever means, men of fickle minds. That is what you are. If that is why you're leaving IPOB, this is the time for you to stand. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not asking for special treatment. He is asking for life. He is asking for justice and for safety. He's asking for the basic dignity guaranteed to every human being under international law and moral order. And as his wife, I carry a weight no document can capture. The knowledge that the place where he is held today places his life in danger. And so tonight, with clarity and resolve, I say this. A government does not lose authority by protecting life. It loses legitimacy when it endangers it. To the international community, this is not a distant story. It is out there. Everyone is on top of it. You can see the travesty of justice. You can see the manipulation. You can see the law upon which Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was tried. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu had the right to be shown the law upon which he was tried. But Omotosho refused that. To the faith leaders, if the sanctity of life is sacred, then it must be defended, even when it is inconvenient. To humanitarian institutions, your mandate exists for moments exactly like this. And to every ordinary human being listening to me now, you may not wear a title, but you carry something greater, a conscience. Please use it to speak. Use it to share this message and demand accountability. Stand gently but firmly for what is right. And I believe deeply that justice is not defeated. It is only delayed. I believe that no prison wall is stronger than truth. No silence louder than conscience. And no injustice can last eternal when humanity refuses to look away. So tonight, I place this appeal into the hands of the world, not with bitterness. I don't have any hatred. Through the power of yin and yang, I can understand where people come from, where things happen. But the most important step is the step that we take to make it better, to reflect and turn around. May history record that when a life was endangered, the world chose to listen. I thank every Nigerian who is writing and speaking and pushing and pointing to this injustice. Thank you for our people who have stood their ground and stand for that which they believe in. Thank you, everyone. As I said, I will endeavor to continue, I will endeavor to bring updates, next campaign, whatever it is that we need to roll out, any step we need to roll out, that will be channeled through the appropriate source, the DOS and the rest of the leadership. They will have that sorted. Thank you, everyone, for standing with me to choose for life and justice. What we do right now will be our legacy. For we will look on this moment, or for when we look on this moment, in the future, when we look back and see this moment, it will either fill us with great pride or great shame. And I pray we do not take the path that will fill us with great shame. Rather, let us take the path that will fill us with great pride. Thank you. From me, from here, it is good night. God bless you.